the image of the Victorian Internet book. Yeah, this is a
Yeah,
book
okay.
from like 20-ish years ago. It was a real big hit when it first came out. It's still very popular. Really, the general gist of this is that this reminds me of Battlestar Galactica because it's all about this has all happened before and it will all
Hmm.
happen again. And so many of the concerns and hacks we're familiar with today, they happened before and more than once, over and over. So this book, I mean, if you were going to like hop in a time machine and go back to a time before any practical use of electricity, like if you think of like 1776 with Benjamin Franklin and Alexander Hamilton, in that period, there's no electric heat, no electric light, there's not electric anything. All, the homes were heated with oil and coal, and
Hmm.
lighting was by candles and oil lamps. And during that period, as far as information, it moved really slowly. It moved from place to place only as fast as like a horse could gallop or a train could barrel down the tracks or a ship could sail. So information, it took like weeks and sometimes a month and a half for information to travel from London to New York back then. And so people understood that there needed to be a better way to move information around more quickly. So there are people all over the world who are experimenting with electricity, trying to figure electricity out. If electricity could somehow accomplish, um, moving information quicker. And so in 1792, there were these two French brothers named Claude and René, and they tried some stuff with electricity, but they couldn't figure it out. It's really tricky. And so they started experimenting with sending information at a distance with sound. So they started like banging pots and pans together. This is kind of tricky, it was a little weird, but they started doing that and to experiment with like how far could you send a signal with sound. And they figured out that what didn't work very well because of well, it just
We
wouldn't
get
go very far.
the inverse square law with sound.
Right.
It's the same thing that kills us in radio, right?
Oh, yeah. So
But
they gave up on that, and then they decided, well, what if we made something visual? So what they did was they built these towers with wooden arms on top called optical telegraphs.
oh wait, we have one of those here. Should I bring
There you
that up?
go. Right. And so inside the tower, in the bottom section, there's two guys operating that optical telegraph, and they put these towers, 5 to 20 miles apart, and they used a code book from the very beginning, and they sent messages down this line of towers. And Napoleon was a really big fan, and they became really popular. And eventually, there were over 1,000 of these optical
It, this
telegraph.
is like this is like a mirror, and it just like flashes, or what's happening
No,
in this thing?
it just the arms get positioned in a certain position, and that relates to something in the code book. And in each tower, there's a guy with a telescope looking at the tower behind them. And so the spotter is looking behind them to the previous tower, and the message is there. And so then he tells the other operator in his tower, "Hey, make the same message and send it down the line."